Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and in today's episode of Road to AWS we are going to discuss a very interesting topic. And I just wanted to share with you that I completed my AWS certification for Solutions Architect on 15th March this year, and the journey that we started for AWS on January 2020 or near about that time has been a huge success for me, and I have learned a lot. And I really want to thank all of you for being a part of this journey and being with me. And you guys have been a real motivation for me to get this certification, because I just wanted to get a certificate. Nonetheless, it had a requirement for me to get a certificate, but the real motivation that came was from you guys, and all your likes and comments have given me a lot of motivation, and I was able to make those videos. And along with that, I was able to focus on my work and as well as prepare for the exam. The ratio of me working on the videos for YouTube and preparing for the exam were very contrasting, because I used to work a lot on the YouTube videos rather than preparing for my exam. You can consider it as 80-20%. So that is why it took me like 3 months time, or 2.5 months of time for me to actually appear for the exam and actually clear it. And there are so many important points that I learned in this journey that I wanted to share with you, so that it helps you as well when you're going to appear for the exam. And that's what we are going to discuss today. So in today's episode we will be discussing about what was my experience of giving the exam, how I prepared for the exam, are these exams really important or mandatory for you to give, and who should basically give this exam, and what is the difference between the current pattern that we have for CA01 or SAA C01 and C02. And basically I would like to share my tips as well. So if you're really interested, I hope you are, and I think you are, so please watch the whole video for this. So if you're ready, let's begin. The first point that I wanted to discuss was why you should appear for this exam, who should give this exam, and is the certification really important for you. So the first thing that you need to understand is you need to differentiate between why you need the certification for and the actual knowledge that you're going to gain with it. This is really important. Please understand this, because you self-validating yourself by giving the exam or appearing for the certification and getting a certification is totally different from the real-time experience that you have or the experience that you get. Okay, so by giving the certification, by appearing for the certification, by going through some of the tutorials and giving the practice exams, you can easily clear the certification within 1 or 2 months. And if you if you're free enough, and if you can spend enough time daily, you can cover it within 1 month itself. There can be like 22 hours of tutorials that will be there, and you can appear 4 to 5 practice papers and you can clear it. There is nothing difficult about it, or I'm not saying it is very easy, I'm not saying it is impossible as well. So but the main important thing is why you actually want to give this exam, or why you want to appear for this exam, or why you actually want to get this certification. Do you really want to learn something, or you just want a certification to post it in your LinkedIn profile, to show it to your friends, and to show it in your organization for your career growth, or you want to add that in your resume? So when you're working on a real-time scenario in your organization, these points that I mentioned now are not going to help you, even if you have a certification. Remember that. Okay, I'm telling you very, with utmost seriousness, that these all things won't help you. I have worked in this industry for like 9 or 10 years. This is the first certification that I've got for any of those languages or technologies that I've learned. I haven't got any certifications. This is the first certification that I got, only because I had a requirement for it, and not for the career growth, but for in general to learn something. So this is the point that I want to make. So clear your mind whether you want to learn something or you just want to get the certification for namesake, or basically like adding one of the feathers in your resume again. So this is one thing that you need to clear up your mind, because when the real-time scenario comes, you can't just mess up, because with lack of knowledge and getting a certification, it's really important for you to understand that you are in a ditch right now, because people will start expecting things from you because you have a certification. I'm really telling you seriously, because I have seen people face this scenario. Okay, you have the certification, everyone knows that you have a certification, everyone knows that, oh yeah, he has been flaunting the certification, let's see how he works. Okay, and there will be scenarios that you will have to perform, and if you don't have the knowledge, you will be a laughing stock. Okay, and that's really important to understand, because in this real world scenario, what happens is people put their real money on people who can deliver solutions. Okay, if you have a certification, that's real advantage, but the organization and the company and the boss that you have will put their money on people who provide solutions. Okay, you have a certification, it's good, well and good, not a problem. You are a senior, you get a certification, no problem with that. Okay, but you have to perform. Okay, how you can perform is basically having the knowledge. And if you're giving the certification, you will get some knowledge. I'm not saying you won't get. So what I would advise is to clear the certification learning all the bits and pieces that you have of all the topics that you want to cover, and that's how you get to learn things. And if you just miss out on some things, miss out on some topics, and you just read some of the lines of the services that AWS has, and you go for the exam and you clear it, you will get a self satisfaction. But when the real time scenario comes and you have to work, you will not be able to work because you don't have the knowledge itself. Okay, so getting a certification is well and good. I'm not saying don't get it. I'm telling you to go for it, because you will self validate yourself on how much you learn, on how much you know actually. So if you are good enough and you have the patience to basically sit there and answer 65 questions, and you are able to answer them, you will get a very good score. And that's basically a self motivating factor as well, that you have a certification. You will feel good about yourself. It will bring immense confidence within you when you're working in your company. And those are some of the highlights of getting a certification. Okay, don't get me wrong here. I also want to, because I have started this channel and I put out the series, I obviously want you to give the certification because it gives you a moral boost and it will help you to learn something. But my intention of saying this is learn this properly. Don't rush to give the exam. You're not going to gain anything by giving the exam blindly. So first of all, learn the trade, spend enough time giving the practice exams, then appear for the exam. And when you get the mark, a good quality mark, I scored around 900, but it's okay. So when you get those marks, you will feel happy about yourself. When you go back to your organization and you go back to your team and you tell them, you will feel happy about yourself. And when you are easily able to think about new ideas, new solutions, new architectures, when you're designing applications with AWS, you will feel the knowledge bursting out of your mind, thinking that you already know the concept. That's the most beautiful aspect of it. And that's the most important thing that we learn by giving a certification or giving a, or basically learning a new thing. So I hope I was clear. Don't rush for giving the exam. First of all, understand why you actually need to give this exam. Then prepare properly, give the practice papers, then go for the exam, appear for the exam, clear it, and be happy about it. That's the only thing. Okay. So now let's see and discuss the roadmap that we have here. So for the phase one that we have the first topic that we already covered, like the IAM, compute, and the load balancing. So most of the topics have already been covered for the phase map, which is a really important topic for the AWS Solutions Architect. And here we have storage, database, and routing. This is also covered. We have also covered like the EBS snapshot, EBS encryption, and RDS, Aurora, Elasticache, and Route 53, and DynamoDB as well. So on the left hand side, if you see, we have the EC2 AMI. So this is basically very important for the exam. So it's a good thing that we have already covered these topics, and this for the phase one. So when we move on to the phase two, we have the S3, encryption, versioning, and storage tiers. We have already covered them, and moving on, we'll be covering about the AWS Athena for the SQL querying of the S3 logs, and AWS CloudFront, global acceleration, AWS storage gateways, and Snowball, and all these things. And the most important part here is like messaging, which involves SQS and SNS. And the second topic that we have on phase 2 is basically Kinesis, Firehose, Kinesis Stream, Kinesis Data Analytics, and AWS Lambda, which is very important, and CloudTrail, CloudWatch, AWS Config, So this is all about the phase 2 that we have. And when we move on to the phase 3, we have Redshift, Neptune, AWS Elasticsearch. So this is some of more of the database side and the IAM deep dive that we are going to do. So it covers most of the security details. Also we have like AWS KMS, Cloud HMS, Shield, and WAF, that is the web application firewall. And the second topic that we have on the phase 3 is basically the virtual private cloud. That is basically the most important part as well for phase 3 and for the exam as well. And this is going to be one of the biggest topics that we are going to discuss after S3 and EC2. Moving on to the fourth phase that we have. So on the fourth phase that we have more of the AWS services, which are also very important, but you can go through them very fast because we'll be covering them like on the basic fundamentals of these topics. And the next very important thing is to have a practice session, like giving a couple of practice exams, like you can give around 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, depends on you, and understanding how the disaster recovery works and reading the well architected framework and having a study pace so that you can understand the topics better, and which will help you remember things when you go for the exam. And after that, that's the phase that you complete and you get your Solutions Architect Associate certification then. And the next thing that I wanted to discuss was the difference between the current pattern that we had, C01, and the C02. So the first thing that you see here is for C01 we have 5 domains. So the first one that we have here is design resilient architecture. Then we have define performant architectures. Then we have specify secure applications and architectures, design cost optimized architectures, and define operationally excellent architectures. So here if you see, we have 6% for operationally excellent architectures. Remember this point for the domain 5. When we move on to the domain 2 or the new pattern that we have, C02. So we have the domains already mentioned, like the 4 domains which are common, but the only thing that is missing is the 5th domain that is not present in the C02 exam, or the C02 pattern, or the second pattern that we have for Solutions Architect, define operationally excellent architectures. This actually is very well covered in AWS architected framework, but the 6% that you have has been distributed across multiple domains that we have here listed already. So you see here 30%, so they have reduced the 4% that we have for the domain 1, and they have increased 4% for the domain 2, and they have reduced 2% for the domain 3, and they have increased 8% for the domain 4, that is the cost optimized architectures. And basically they have removed this section for the domain 5, which was around 6%, and they have added all of these in the current section that we have, or the current pattern that we have. So on the 4 domains that we have, so you must focus on all these things, but I would advise you to as well read the documentation for AWS well architected framework, because even if the questions don't come in the exam for AWS well architected framework or the 5 pillars, that will actually help you in your job, and basically to analyze real-time scenarios, and basically to handle the situations better when you are currently working on a real-time example or a real-time situation. So this is the basic difference between the pattern that we have for C01 and C02, and let's see the domains that we have listed here for C02 in detail now. So as you can see here, for the first domain that we have, the design resilient architecture, you have 30% of marks here, and the first point that is mentioned is design a multi-tier architecture solution, design a highly available or fault-tolerant architecture, design decoupling mechanism using AWS services, and choose appropriate resilient architecture. So this basically covers with your VPC and the sections of your region and availability zone. So don't worry about that. We have already covered that. Most of the topics have been already covered in this section. And the domain 2 that we have for the design high performance architecture, that is covering around 28% now. So here they are asking you to identify elastic and scalable compute solutions for a workload. The second point that we have here is a select high performing and scalable storage solutions for a workload. Then we have select high performing network solutions for a workload, and choose high performing database solutions for a workload. And if you see here, we have EC2, RDS, DynamoDB, and load balancing. So when you see like elastic and scalable compute solutions, you basically term to EC2 and ASGs, so auto scaling groups. And when we move on to the third part that we have, the domain 3. So here they are asking you to design secure applications and architectures. So when it comes to security, they are asking you to design secure app access to AWS resources, design secure application tiers, select appropriate data security options. So mostly it covers when you cover those sections for IAM, security groups, and KMS, and all other security related services that you have. Okay, and moving on to the domain 4. So domain 4 consists of like design cost optimized architectures. So here cost effectiveness comes into play. So how you can design your architecture with utmost cost optimized way. Okay, so the first point that we have here is identify cost effective storage solutions, cost effective compute and database services, and cost optimized network architecture. So when you think about cost effective storage solutions, you always tend to think about S3, its storage classes, and how they can perform better with cost effectiveness, and the VPC as well, and the AWS Lambda, which provides the serverless computing. So these are the 4 domains that we have here for SAAC02. So that's what I wanted to share with you. So basically what happens is, like, I am a working individual and I have been working on the YouTube videos, and along with that I started preparing for the AWS exam. So most of the percentage of work that I used to do on YouTube was more than the time that I spent on studying. So basically it helped me. Preparing the YouTube videos actually helped me to learn the concepts more and better actually. So I used to spend basically like 1 hour every day on the weekdays and about 2 to 3 hours on the weekends, just to brush up my skills on each of the services that I have on the roadmap already. And the most important aspect was going through all the AWS documentations. AWS documentations have covered most of the important aspects. They might be a bit lengthy, but actually they help us they help us getting more knowledge on how the actual service works. And you don't have to do that, because I have covered most of the things from the AWS documentation itself. Because I have gone through the documentation, I know basically what are the important points that they ask in the exam, or what actually is needed for the service. So I have taken them and I have put them on the videos as well. So you don't have to do that. I have done that for you. Okay. So once I was sure enough that I have covered most of the topics for the services on the roadmap, and I have covered all of them. So after that, what happened is I gave the practice exams, like 3 or 4 practice exams. And then I started scoring about like 85 to 90% on that. And then basically what happened is I went ahead and I booked a slot for myself for an AWS Solutions Architect practice exam, not the actual exam. Yes, I have given a Solutions Architect practice exam. And that I scored about 92 to 95%. And then I was sure that I will be able to clear the exam now. So this is pretty, like 92 to 95% seem to be very less. I know most of you have scored better than me. And when you're sure enough that you are now ready to give the exam, then you can go ahead and give that. This is not basically a race. Don't consider it as a race. Most of the people out there that you see on the AWS certification websites, or Reddit, or any other general post, or if you go to LinkedIn, you will see all the news about everyone getting new certification, and you might be tempted that I also want that as soon as possible. But it's not a race. So take it easy, prepare well, and then go for the exam. Okay. So this is my advice for you, and this is how I basically prepared. So I hope it helps. Let's move on. So basically, when you go for the AWS certification exam, so if you're going for an online exam, what happens is you appear for the exam on a particular time, and there will be a proctor that will help you guide through the exam, and he'll be monitoring you using a webcam, and you have to give the exam, and there will be 65 questions, and there will be around like 4 options, multiple choice in general, and there could be questions with multiple choice of 2 answers. Okay, there will be 5 options. Out of them you have to choose 2 suitable answers. Okay, the best 2 answers. And most of the questions that you see here will be scenario based. Okay, so you have to understand the question, go through all the answers that you have. All the answers will be really important because they look similar, and they'll feel like, yeah, this can be the answer. Yeah, this is also right. This is also right. And the 4 of the options are right. You have to choose the best option. Okay, and there might be some questions that might have 5 options. Out of those, you have to choose 2, and those 2 will be the most suitable answers. And that can be a step as well, like what you have to do first and what you have to do next. Okay, and those will be scenario based questions. I didn't go for the virtual way of giving the exam. I went there to the test center itself to appear for the exam. And basically, once you reach there, they'll ask you for the name and the time slot that you have, and you have to reach like there before around like 15 minutes before 15 minutes itself. And once you reach there, you will be allotted a machine or a system where you will actually give the exam, and there will be 65 questions for you to answer, and at around 130 minutes. Okay, so 130 minutes for 65 questions. and you can answer them in any order that you want. You can click on any of the questions that you have and you can answer them, and you can skip the questions as well, or you can mark them, okay, if you want to review them later. And once you completed them, you can go back and see all the answers that you have already given. You can edit them as well. So once you're satisfied with what the answers that you have given, you can move ahead and you can complete a survey. And after that, what happens is you can click on submit, and after clicking on submit, remember that you will get the result then and there that you have passed or failed. Okay, don't get shocked there. Okay, so once you have appeared for the exam, you have clicked the submit button, you will immediately get to know like whether you have passed or failed. And that's a very pretty interesting thing. Okay, if you have passed, then it's well and good, but if you have failed, let's move on. So now, what are my tips for giving the exam? First thing, first of all, understand why you want to give the exam. As I've already told you in the beginning of the session itself, or beginning of the episode itself, you should understand why you want to give the exam. What is the motive behind for you to give the exam? Are you willing to learn the craft before giving the exam? Are you patient enough? Have some patience. Okay, don't rush. This is not a horse race, or this is not a rat race. Okay, this is something that you want to learn, and once you learn it, okay, properly, you will never forget about that. Okay, so that is one of the most important tips that I want to give, that please learn the concepts properly, and that will help you in your organization, that will help you in your work, and which will help you with the job as well and your career growth. Yes, it's really important, I think, because most of the people are giving the certifications, and it's a really good thing to give a certification because it will help you validate as well, self-validate as well. And the next thing is to go through all the topics that we have in the roadmap section, and if some of the topics that I have not covered as well, you can easily verify them or easily go through them with the choice of your source that you like. But I would advise you to go through the documentations as well, and my videos as well cover most of the documentation topics that we have, and going through the AWS well architected framework. That's really important, and the 5 pillars. Okay, that's really important. If you are fine with giving a AWS practice exam, that's well and good. You will have 20 questions. That will give you an idea of how the question pattern will be, so you can give that. Okay, and then yeah, that's it. Then you just have to be cool and calm, and you just need to focus on the right answers, and you need to focus on the best possible answers for the scenario. Read the answers very carefully, each of them. Okay, don't rush. You have 130 minutes for just 65 questions. Okay, you don't have anything to rush about. You will have ample amount of time to review also once again. So read the questions carefully, read the answers carefully. So the scenarios that you have in your questions will have a very suitable answer in the answer section. So read each of the answers one by one. The answers sometimes are hidden in the questions itself. If you see some of the important if you see some of the important markers in the questions, you will be able to easily identify the answers. Okay, so that's what I would like to advise you. And the most important aspect that I feel is, don't think about the result before giving the exam. Don't think about the result. Okay, think about, yeah, you want to get the certification is well and good. Just before giving the exam, when you're sitting on the exam table, just think about how you're going to complete the exam and how you're going to give the answer with utmost conviction that you have. Okay, so these are all the points that I wanted to mention for this session. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you have some more queries that you want to share, please do share with me in the comment section below. And we are a small family right now, so I would request you to please subscribe. We don't have any of our videos monetized as well because we have very less subscribers, so please do subscribe. And yes, and that's it. I hope this video was informative for you, and if any of your friends want to give the exam, please do share this video with them as well. So that's it from my side for today, and if you liked the video, please hit the like button and comment on what you liked, what you didn't, and please do subscribe. I'll meet you in the next session of AWS. Until then, Pythoholic signing off.